And welcome to all you. Let's go directly to Des Moines, Iowa, where Byron York of the National Review witnessed yesterday's straw poll in person. Byron, the results, we'll put them up on the screen. As expected, Mitt Romney comes out on top at 32%, but Mike Huckabee is a big story there, coming in second at 18%, Sam Brownback 15%, Tom Tancredo at 14%. What does it mean?
Well, I think, first of all, for Romney, he was the front runner going in. He's the front runner coming out. He won, and he can be happy about that. So it solidifies his image, but it also kind of solidifies his image as a guy who's paying tons of money to stay where he is. And it allows people like Huckabee, who is kind of a surprise second finisher, to just attack him over and over again as a big money guy who's trying to buy votes, the candidate of Wall Street, not Main Street, a guy who wants to sell you the box and not the cereal. I mean, he's taken a lot of hits here, so he does come out ahead. As far as Huckabee is concerned, you know, it was a really big win for him. He was worried that he's raised so little money that if he finished way down in the pack, he might not be able to stay in the race. And his oratorical skills, he's a former preacher, very strong. He's the kind of guy that you listen to him speak on a few occasions and you wonder why he isn't higher up in the race. So he's made a huge step forward.
Chuck, Todd, if you look at the voter turnout as well, down significantly from 2000 when George W. Bush won. Is that a bad sign for Republicans?
I don't want to go make too much of it, because they did a couple things. First time, I think this time they actually asked for Iowa IDs. They didn't ask that before. It used to be you could just bus in people. No doubt Steve Forbes and George W. Bush might have bused in a few folks back in '99. But the other thing is when you have three major contenders not participating. Last time there was only one major contender not participating. So I think you had some of that. Look, I go back. The Romney win is significant, but it would only have been an interesting story had he not done well. The Huckabee story is amazing for a couple reasons. He didn't buy a single bus. You know, this straw poll is known for renting buses. Sam Brownback rented a whole bunch of buses, Tancredo, obviously Romney did. The other thing is Huckabee actually had a negative ad run against him for this last week. The Club for Growth went after him. So here's somebody that didn't have any paid media up himself, had a negative ad criticizing him, and he finished second. It's a big deal. I think at this point, it's like, who finished first and second? Everybody else is now definitely second tier. Huckabee may start inching up and saying, hey, I belong in this first tier.
Well, let's look at some of the polling out of Iowa and also nationally for the Republicans. The University of Iowa poll has Romney on top. There's Giuliani at 11%. Fred Thompson, not officially in the race, at 7%. And down it goes with John McCain, only at 3% in Iowa. You look at the national picture, a little bit different. Giuliani is on top at 29%. Fred Thompson, again, not announced yet at 22. There's McCain and Romney down at 12%. And Michael Duffy, one question for Mitt Romney here is, did he win by enough to put the questions about his flip-flop, what a lot of people are calling it, on abortion, did he put those questions behind him now in a state where that's going to matter in Iowa?
Well, no, not completely. He won, and he was supposed to win, and that's good. He's now ahead in Iowa and New Hampshire. This straw poll win probably means he'll be ahead in Iowa by a little bit more over the next couple of days. But the others will eventually come after him, or continue to, on these issues. And I think the Republicans are going to go at each other like a free-for-all on all their flip-flops. There are no real perfect Republican candidates. They all have issues about consistency, particularly on the social conservative issues. And so eventually we're going to have a giant rumble about who had the greatest flip-flops. And so Romney's not out of it, and neither is anyone else on that score.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret? Romney, since he was buying the Iowa straw poll, had to win it big, and I think he won it big enough. His tactical error was to say early on that he was going to spend what it would take and scaring out the others so it doesn't have as much meaning as it would if the other major candidates had been in. But even though the Iowa straw poll is entirely irrational, it's completely welcome because it lets you know that the person who was winning the debates, for people who are watching them, was Governor Mike Huckabee.
Right.
And he got more votes than he bought tickets, which is a rare thing in Iowa. You usually get what you pay for. Huckabee got more than that.
And Byron York, talk a little bit about the dynamic now on the Republican side of things in these early states, because what Mitt Romney would like to do, has been written about today, is create a dynamic between himself and Rudolph Giuliani, where he's a conservative and Giuliani is running as more of a moderate. How does that play out in terms of early state strategies?
Well, you know, on the abortion issue, as Margaret said, Romney is fighting from his right. I mean, there are a lot of radio talk show hosts here in Iowa who are really pushing hard on him, talking about his change of heart over abortion, change of position, which happened in late 2004. It's a very, very recent one. So it's not just him against the pro-choice Giuliani. He actually has to secure his right flank on this, and he has not gotten over the flip-flopper image by far. He's in New Hampshire, of course, he's the next door former governor. He is running very strong. In South Carolina, it's quite different. Giuliani, who people thought really couldn't make it in South Carolina, polling very, very well, and that's a state where you see Fred Thompson, still undeclared, doing really, really well. So, Romney would sort of, with this crazy new schedule that we have, would kind of like to run the table early. But that, I just don't think that's going to be possible.
You think Giuliani, Chuck Todd, will stop him?
Well, we'll see. I think that, Giuliani has set himself quite well, I think, in these early states. They are going to compete in the early states. I think there are other folks that are saying, oh, no, they're not. And some of the New York media is almost pushing this idea, oh, no, Giuliani's focused on Florida. But Giuliani has set himself up where as long as he finishes second in Iowa, second in New Hampshire, then makes South Carolina. I do think South Carolina is the showdown state. If this is Romney and Giuliani, and I'm sort of leaning that is where this thing is headed. Maybe we'll see what Fred Thompson does, but this thing ends up being Romney versus Giuliani. Neither one of them fit South Carolina, so that will be the showdown state.